I knew there was something very obvious I was overlooking here. Hey guys, welcome back to Tactical Review. So I actually have the opportunity today to look through a few different generations of Glock pistols. And yeah, I know, real exciting, right? Glocks have been around forever. But actually, there has recently been a mid-generation change introduced to the Generation 5. So I thought we'd kind of look through a few different Glock pistols in 9mm and look at some of the differences, and especially focus in on some of the differences between the early Gen 5 Glocks and the current Gen 5 Glocks. Let's get the camera tilted and take a look. Alright, so here at the top we have the 3rd generation Glock, possibly the most popular generation of Glock that's out there. This is a Model 17 full frame duty size pistol. Actually, I carry the 3rd generation Glock 19. You can tell the 3rd generation by the finger grooves. Those were carried as an option into the 4th generation and have now been done away with. They weren't present on the 1st and 2nd generation. And this particular one does have the rough texture frame, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in just a minute. Basic vertical serrations here at the back of the slide, and otherwise a fairly smooth slide. You get into the pistol, and the first 3 generations had a polymer guide rod with a single recoil spring. So odds are, if you've seen a Glock, it was very possibly a 3rd generation Glock. And again, one of the most popular generations. You can actually still buy a 3rd gen new in box today. Matter of fact, I'm shooting this the week before Thanksgiving in 2019, and Palmetto State Armory is right now running a sale on Talo Edition 3rd generation Glocks. So still available even. Then we move into the 4th generation. In the 4th generation, now this is a Glock 19X, but it has a lot of those features. The 4th generation introduced some ambidextrous features. Has ambi slide release or slide catch, much larger magazine release, you can see, and then it's actually reversible on the 4th generation, where the 3rd generation, you can see it just had the large catch on the opposite side. The 4th generation pistols also introduced the changeable back straps and got rid of the classic texturing altogether, went to the rough frame texture, and then introduced the dual recoil spring system that is carried forward into the 5th generation. This pistol, however, is kind of in between the 4th and 5th generation. This is the Glock 19X. It was actually the pistol that was submitted to the Army for their testing, where they ultimately ended up going with the SIG P320, well, the SIG that is available on the civilian market as the P320. The 19X was the flat dark earth color. Had the, in addition to some of the Gen 5 differences, including kind of that more angled bull nosing, they also for this model, have a step down on the front of the magazine well. Hold that up to where you can see it, which makes this pistol incompatible with all of the 9mm Glock mags from before and after it. Everybody I've asked is somewhat unsure of why they introduced that. And then because it was a military pistol, it also has the lanyard loop here on the back. But with the 19X, they introduced some changes internally to the slide that they carried forward into the 5th generation. And I don't have a complete list of those changes, but it was something like 35 internal mechanical changes that they made between the 4th and 5th generation weapons. So here I have an original 5th generation Glock 19. One of the external changes you can see, though, and possibly the most hated, was this half moon cut down here at the bottom of the mag well. Now, I imagine that was to make gripping and ripping easier if you had a magazine get stuck in the well. But what it ended up doing for a lot of people was raising blood blisters as they slam magazines home. It was a fairly universally hated feature, and so Glock has now released an update to the 5th generation that they've done away with that. And if you have an early 5th gen gun and you would like that half moon notch removed, you can contact Glock USA, and there's a fee involved, but they can take care of that for you. So let's get in here and see if there are any other differences internal to these 5th gen slides. And again, I'm comparing a 19 and a 17, so those aren't entirely apples to apples, but it's fairly close, right? Make sure that this is all in frame for you guys. All right, so what we're going to do here, and that's definitely a difference from the 3rd generation guns. Let's, you guys can see here, I've got the 3rd gen slide in my right hand. You can see that there's a major difference in that safety plunger between the 3rd and 5th generations. And again, I don't have a 4th generation gun out here to check that with. And there was also some changes in the locking mechanisms on the bottom of the barrel. So you can see here the 3rd gen locking lug is a bit longer than the 5th gen. All right, so when you go to open or go to remove the internals of your slide, you're going to get in here and press on that rear plastic assembly. Hopefully you guys can see this. Push that forward. You're going to slide your rear plate forward, and then keep your thumb under it because there's stuff in here that's under spring tension. So you'll have your extractor rod come out, your striker, your extractor claw, and your safety plunger. And then we'll do the same on the early Gen 5. All right, so extractor plungers are the same, or extractor rods. Safety plungers are identical. And even the strikers appear to be identical. So it looks as though the internal components of the slide were unchanged but in this mid-generation update. All right, so there's our differences in the slide assembly. Looking through the lower frame, of course, we've got the ambidextrous slide release there, making this a more viable alternative for you left-handed shooters. And there are some differences. The Gen 3 is on bottom. Up in the locking block, you can definitely, see if I focus in on there. There's definitely some differences down in there, which we wouldn't expect a lot of parts compatibility between the two lowers, especially being 2 generations apart. All right, so then the trigger. Now, if you fired, they say if you fired one Glock, you fired them all. So you've got a little bit of take up here. Looks like 3/8 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and you definitely feel it hit that wall. Audible reset, it definitely pushes your finger forward to the reset, and then you can ride right on that wall. Gen 5, similar take up. Probably definitely the main reason to look at a newer Gen 5, the newly re-released Gen 5, I guess it wasn't ever taken off the market, but the new Gen 5 update is definitely to get rid of that half moon that you see there on this Glock 19. They have, by customer demand, added the forward slide serrations. I knew there was something very obvious I was overlooking here. Very nice if you are a person who likes to press check using those. Some people like them, some people don't like them. They're just kind of a nice feature to add that really doesn't take a lot of effort to put in to a pistol, and one that a lot of aftermarket slides, such as that Brownell slide that I've recently put on my pistol, it's just something that a lot of aftermarket companies have been doing for a long time. So it's nice to see Glock just kind of listening to customer feedback and giving customers what they ask for. All right, guys, not a lot of groundbreaking stuff here. It's just really nice to see a manufacturer listening to feedback from their customers and giving customers just some little quality of life things that they've been asking for. Once again, if you have one of the earlier Gen 5 Glocks and you want to get rid of that half moon cut, give Glock USA a call. I do remember there's a cost associated with it. If I find that before I publish this video, I will put what I found on screen. Otherwise, give Glock a call. They're usually very receptive on their customer service line. In fact, I heard a crazy story once. Somebody had left a brand new pistol on the roof of a vehicle, forgot about it, drove off with it. You know, some people it's a cup of coffee, some people it's a pistol. It happens. Pistol ended up scattered all over the highway, and Glock customer service gave an option to repair it really reasonably, or even upgrade to a brand new pistol for just a little bit more than that. So you know, if you've had great experience with Glock customer service, or if I've overlooked something in the comparison with these pistols, feel free to call it out in the comments, and I'll add it to the description. Definitely, I am not the be-all, end-all of knowledge. As a matter of fact, most days I'm doing good to not put both legs in the same pant leg. So I'm sure you've had days like that. Anyway, if you've had a bad customer service experience, go ahead. You know, I'm not looking for rants, but by all means, it's part of being responsible consumers to do all of the research we can. So I'm interested in seeing those comments too. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. I'd appreciate it if you'd give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification bell. Otherwise, you're not going to hear, or you're not going to have any idea when I upload new videos. And if you haven't been getting those notifications, double check that YouTube hasn't changed your notification settings or completely unsubscribed you from the channel. You wouldn't be the first person that's happened to. As a matter of fact, that's happened to me for a few of the gun tubers that I watch. So if you haven't heard from any of your favorite YouTubers for a while, you might just go over to their channel and double check that YouTube hasn't done you dirty. Speaking of that, if you get a chance, go ahead and follow the channel over on social media as well. You'll see some behind the scenes pictures of things that we've got in the works, some various commentary and discussion, and I also try to notify when we've got new videos coming up on social media as well. Just because, again, I know how YouTube is. If you'd like to support the channel financially, you can do that over on Patreon. Or if you're watching on Gunstreamer, you can do that right through the Gunstreamer platform using Contributus. I really appreciate my Patreon supporters. You guys really help with the financial burden of things like buying ammunition and even picking up new stuff to review and feature on the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.